In this example, we're going to be talking about local maximums and local minimums. And when we're working with each of these, we're going to be looking at the interior portion of our graph. So we're not going to be including any endpoints as answers when we're looking at a local max or a local min. So let's go ahead and give ourselves a little sketch. If we're talking about a local maximum, we're looking at where our graph might be coming to a peak. Right, so this would be an example of a local max. And if we're talking about a local minimum, then our graph is going to be coming kind of towards the valley here, and we're looking at the lowest point when we're looking at local mins. So we're going to take a look at a function. We have the equation f of x is equal to negative x cubed plus 3x minus 5. And we're going to graph this on the interval from -3 to 3. So I went ahead and graphed our function, and let's go ahead and label our local max and our local min on the graph itself. You'll see that the graph is coming to a low point right here. Let's go ahead and identify the coordinates. This is the point -1, -7. So this is a local minimum. And you'll see that it comes to a high point right here. So this is the point 1, -3, which is a local max. You might see them written as coordinates. You might also see them written as sentences. So let's go ahead and write these out. If we're talking about a local maximum, then we have a local max. The y value here is a -3. And it's going to occur at an x value of +1. So you might see it in sentence form. Let's do the same thing for the local minimum. Our smallest y value for our local minimum was that -7. And it occurs at an x value of -1. Right, so both of those are written in sentence form. Since we have this graph, let's go ahead and incorporate just a little bit of review. Let's take a look at where our graph is increasing and decreasing as well. So let's start with increasing. Let's go ahead and write the interval notation for where our graph is increasing. Let's actually mark our graph first. Keep in mind we're looking for where the graph is going uphill as we look at it from left to right. So we're looking at this portion of our graph. And we want to go ahead and use x values when we are writing our interval notation. So if we're looking at the purple segment, our lowest x value is a -1, and our largest x value is a +1. And let's go ahead and leave these as open intervals, so we'll use parentheses on both sides. And let's take a look at where our graph is decreasing. So we're looking at where our graph is going downhill as we look at it from left to right. We're still going to be using x values when we write our intervals. So here is one segment where our graph is decreasing. And let's go ahead and use the x values for that interval. Right, keep in mind our graph here is only graphed on the interval from -3 to 3. So they gave us some restrictions as to the portion of the graph we're looking at. So my smallest x value for this portion is the -3. The largest x value is where that local minimum occurs at -1. And I'm going to list this as an open interval. And I have a second portion where my graph is decreasing. So I'll go ahead and label this one. And we want the x values for that portion as well. So my smallest x value here, starting at my local max, is that +1. And my largest x value for that segment is going to be all the way until +3. And I can go ahead and use an open interval for this one with parentheses on both sides. And I'm going to put my union symbol between the two. So my intervals for where the graph is decreasing would be from -3 to -1, or from 1 to +3.